All right, let's dive into a book that is going to completely change how you see the world around you. I mean it. From the door you walk through to the apps on your phone, nothing is ever going to look the same again. This is The Design of Everyday Things Explained.
Okay, so you've totally had this moment. You're standing in front of a door, you push, it doesn't move. You pull, still nothing. And for a second, you feel kind of dumb until you have that thought, wait a minute, maybe it's not me. And that right there is the huge game-changing idea from Don Norman, the author of this book. He literally just watched people struggle with everyday things and realized something revolutionary. The problem isn't us, it isn't human error. So if you only take one thing away from this, let it be this. That feeling of frustration, of failure, it is not your fault. It is a failure of design. We're going to dig into what that means, and trust me, it's incredibly freeing. Okay, first up, let's really get into this core idea. We're going to look at how we've been blaming ourselves for decades for problems that were literally built into the things we use every single day.
In fact, this problem is so famous, it's now named after him. It's called a Norman door, which is basically any door that makes you feel incompetent. And seriously, just think about that for a second. If a door, one of the oldest and simplest technologies humans have, if a door needs an instruction manual, it's a failed design, period.
And look, this goes way beyond just being embarrassed at an entrance. The stakes can be incredibly high. Norman actually investigated the 3 Mile Island nuclear accident. The official report blamed human error. But what he found was a control room so confusing, so badly laid out, that mistakes were basically inevitable. It's a chilling reminder that bad design can have absolutely devastating consequences. So what's the solution? Well, it's a whole way of thinking called human-centered design. The idea is simple, really. Stop forcing people to adapt to confusing technology, and instead design technology that adapts to people. Think about your favorite app, the one that just felt intuitive the first time you used it. That wasn't luck. That was human-centered design.
So if bad design is the problem, how do we spot good design? Well, Norman gives us a kind of toolkit, a secret language that objects use to talk to us. So let's learn some of the key vocabulary.
The first word is affordances. Now, it sounds a little academic, I know, but it's super simple. It's just all the things an object lets you do. A chair affords sitting. A light switch affords flipping. It's the whole menu of possible actions. But hey, what good is a possible action if you don't even know it exists? That's where signifiers come in. Signifiers are the clues, the hints, the signals that tell you what to do. The handle on a teacup signifies, hold me here. The big play button on a video screen signifies, press me. They make the affordances obvious.
So here's how you put it all together. Affordances are what you can do. Signifiers are how you know what you can do. When they work together in harmony, like a flat plate on a door that just screams push me, design feels like magic. When they fight each other, well, you get a Norman door. Norman tells this perfect, cringe-worthy story about a sink he used in a fancy hotel in London. It looked really cool, but there was no visible drain control. No lever, no knob, nothing. He actually had to call the front desk to figure it out. Turns out, you had to push the stopper down for it to pop up. I mean, what? That is a total failure of communication.
Okay, so let's get into what's actually happening in our brains when we try to use something. Turns out, we have to cross 2 big invisible gaps every time. Good design builds a bridge over those gaps for us, so the journey feels effortless.
And these are the 2 gaps, or gulfs, as Norman calls them. The first is the gulf of execution, which is just a fancy way of asking, how do I do the thing I want to do? The second is the gulf of evaluation, which asks, okay, did it work? You ever click a button on a website and just nothing happens? You're stranded in the gulf of evaluation. Now, this slide looks like a lot, I get it. But here's the secret. Don't even try to memorize it. This is the unconscious mental checklist our brain runs through for literally everything we do. You don't need to know the steps, because a good designer has already obsessed over them for you. Their entire job is to make this whole sequence feel so seamless, so natural, it's like it never even happened. All right, next section. Let's talk about memory. Our brains are incredible, but they're not computer hard drives. Great design understands this, and it doesn't force us to remember a bunch of stuff we don't need to. So check this out. It's a classic experiment. Most Americans, even though they see pennies all the time, cannot pick the real one out of a lineup. So how do we manage to use money every day without messing it up? Simple.
We don't need to memorize every single detail. We just need to know enough to tell it apart from a dime or a quarter.
And this highlights a really powerful idea: the difference between knowledge in the head and knowledge in the world. Knowing your PIN number by heart, that's knowledge in the head. It's fast, but you had to put in the effort to learn it. Having your password written on a sticky note, that's knowledge in the world. You don't have to remember it, but the information has to be physically there.
And here's the big takeaway. Great design doesn't make you feel dumb by forcing you to memorize things. It very cleverly takes that burden off your shoulders by putting the clues you need right out there in the world. It makes us feel smart because it's doing all the heavy lifting.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. Let's tie all these ideas together. What does it actually mean to design for real, messy, imperfect, awesome human beings?
Well, it starts by taking the phrase human error and just tossing it right in the garbage. Because people make mistakes. We all do. We slip up, we get distracted. It happens. That's normal. Instead of blaming us, a great design anticipates our slips and builds in a safety net to catch us.
A really cool way to think about this is the Swiss cheese model. Imagine every safety measure is a slice of Swiss cheese with random holes in it. A disaster only happens on the rare chance that all the holes in all the slices line up perfectly. So what is good design? It's just adding another protective slice of cheese to the stack, making it that much less likely a simple slip-up can turn into a catastrophe. So in the end, good design is really just a good conversation. It's a dialogue between you and the thing you're using. A well-designed product anticipates what you need, it tells you what it's doing, and it forgives you when you mess up. It feels less like a chore and more like a collaboration. So I'll leave you with this thought. Once you learn this language, you can't unsee it. You now have a completely new lens to see the world through. So look around tomorrow. Pay attention to the doors, the remote controls, the websites you use. What are they really saying to you? And more importantly, now that you know better, what are you going to demand from them?